So this is just going to be a quick overview. It's basically to make sure that everybody knows what assessments you have to give, who you have to have in contact with us, because if you do not have a CTC in your school, you will not know where to go and you will be all behind on a lot of things. So just an introduction, like I said, we coordinate the statewide assessments in our office. I am Karen Stein and I do the alternate assessment. I'm a special ed specialist. So we have a lot of other people in our office. If you've ever, for ECAs and things like that, that would be Adam Mastrucci. We have Graham, who is our new ISTEP person. And then I also have done the WIDA before. And then we have ISTAR KR, which is for primary. But the assessments that we have to do, it consists of a variety of assessments. Some are volunteer, but most of them are not. So we'll, as you all know that. So here are basically our assessments that we have. We have IREAD 3, so any of your third graders have to take IREAD 3, ISTEP, ECAs only for your 11th and 12th graders. We are phasing those out. ISTAR is the alternate assessment. WIDA is the EL assessment, so if you have any limited English proficient students, they do need to take that on a yearly basis. And then ACCUPLACER is for those 10th and 11th graders. So what I'm going to do is just tell you kind of, because we have different vendors than we did before, we kind of just will say for Pearson is our vendor and that's who we work with and that's who you have to have information from. So you have to have a username and password from your corporation test coordinator does, okay? Most of these are all, they have a student client, so you have, your students will be taking it through the student client. So again, IREAD is just for grade 3 students. It's given in the spring for those students who either missed it or did not pass, would take it in the summer. After that, those students who did not pass can only have a couple of reasons why they would not be able to, that could go on to 4th grade. So any student who does not pass, a gen ed student, has to still be considered a 3rd grade student going into the next year. How you make that design their program is up to you. You can give them 3rd grade instruction in reading, but also give them 4th grade instruction and everything else. But you have to officially call them a 3rd grader, and they take IREAD 3 that next year. For special ed students or EL students, you can give them a good cause exemption, or for a student who has already been retrained twice. Those students can be given a good cause exemption, be reported as 4th graders, but they still need to be getting that instruction in 3rd grade instruction, reading instruction. So as the difference between IREAD and ISTEP is that IREAD measures whether a student can read, so it's on the foundational skills. ISTEP measures how well a student reads. So there is a big difference between the two tests. Then we have Pearson, and all of you who gave the test last year know we had Pearson as our new vendor. They are the ones that do the 3 through 8 and 10, English language arts, math, and of course we give science for 4, 6, and social studies for 5, 7. And then I will have that caveat of science. As you know, if you don't know, only those students that are enrolled in a biology course will take the grade 10 science. So it's not for every 10th grader. It's for those enrolled in your biology 1 class. So Questar, again, Questar is for just those 11th and 12th graders since we are phasing out end of course. And we've added grade 10 ISTEP. We now have, last year kids had to take both. This year they don't. So now we'll have just the grade 10 kids will take the ELA in math, and the 11th and 12th graders will continue to take the ECAs because that's the retest for GQE. And that's the big thing is that ECAs will be used for graduation purposes only, not for accountability anymore. This transition chart is on our website, and it really is helpful if you have any issues about where a student is, especially your high school 10, 11, and 12 graders. And this is more the State Board of Education's their resolutions. If you ever want to look at a resolution, you can come right here. And I believe this PowerPoint's going to be available. Is that correct? Yes. Okay. So this is a live link to go to that. So I don't know how many of you have students that are in alternate assessment. That is ISTAR. Last year we gave it in 3 windows. We are going to give it in 2 windows. Part 1 will be in January. All of our assessment dates are on the website. It's ISTEP, no, what is it? DOE.in.gov/assessment. If you go to that page, you will see all of our dates of all of our assessments. But the first window will be in January. It's still going to be somewhat of a placement test. I apologize that we really haven't had a lot of information out. Things have been changing, of course, during the summer. And during the summer is when we would like to get everything out to you in the fall, as far as the content connectors and the things that are going to be assessed. That will be out in the next couple weeks after that design gets completed. This is also given for these are the students with the more significant cognitive disability. Like I said, not everybody will be given this test, but that is the Questar is our vendor. So Questar was our vendor for ECAs and ISTAR. Now WIDA is our EL assessment, so if you have any students with limited English proficiency, they need to take an annual test every year until they are considered fluent, which is a level of 5.0. So for those, if you get new students that come in based on their home language survey, which I think probably Cole and Valerie talked about this morning, those students would take the placement test, and then if they don't or if they don't score proficient on that, then they would take the annual test, and that test is also in January. So that's the same timeline as kind of the ISTAR is. And all students will take it. There is an alternate to the WIDA test also. So ACCUPLACER. I'm just going to say for ACCUPLACER, there is the criteria. It says on here that the criteria is coming in August, but it's already on the website. So again, go to the DOE.in.gov/assessments. At the bottom of the page, each one of the assessments is listed. When that gives you a link to any information you need. And it's got a lot of information about who should take an ACCUPLACER, how to get it set up, and things like that. So I really can't tell you a whole lot on ACCUPLACER, but that's the best way to get the information on that one. So we do have formative assessments, and hopefully whoever was in your schools have already gone through and put their information in about getting the monies for that formative assessment. That goes through Shalonda Trice, who is our assistant director in our office. So if you have, hopefully somebody in your school's already been taking care of that. You know that we don't do formative assessment anymore in our office. We used to do acuity, and we don't do that now. Schools get to choose what they want to give to students. So that is just, we take care of the monies for it, but schools get to pick what they want to use. So our resources. So on our website, and I probably should have gone to our website, but if you go to our website on the assessment page, at the bottom where it says about each assessment, you've got ISTEP, you've got ISTAR, you've got the ECAs. It has test blueprints for all of the tests, and it has instructional assessment guidance, standard vocabulary, and item samplers. That is really important for teachers to go to this and look at it, and parents can too. There are sample items of all of our tests. There are instructional guidance there, and we worked with CCR to do that information also. So it's really important that teachers know that we have these, because we'll get calls from people saying, well, I didn't know what was happening, I don't know what the items look like. And so that is on our website. Also, we have Experience ISTEP is coming out fairly soon, and if you haven't seen that last year, you can go in, even parents can go in, teachers can go in, students can go in, and you can see the item types that we have available. Again, that's on the assessment page of the DOE website. And another thing is, we want to make sure that everybody understands this assessment development journey. We do this, we show it to everybody. Every time we go somewhere, we like to show it to people because educators are always involved in all of our assessments. Last year when we wrote ISTAR, we had to bring teachers in to develop the blueprints, to do item development. We work with the vendor, the Department of Education works with the vendor to design these things, but then everything has to be vetted through teachers. So there are always committees going on around. They're not as big when we're starting a new assessment, but we have committees. So if you are interested in any kind of committee work, and we really need all teachers to get involved, please just send an email. I think right now the best thing would be is to just send an email to DOE Assessments, and they can tell you how to get your name included. It's very interesting because most people are surprised how much the teachers do have input, that we just don't make this stuff up. So that's where we are. We also do bias and sensitivity. So we'll look at things to see if they are biased against any specific group or sensitive to any students. And then next summer we will be doing cut score setting. I think we did cut score setting for grade 10. I don't know if anybody was involved in that, but we will be doing it for alternate assessment for ISTAR next summer. And that's where we get the pass, did not pass, and pass plus. Teachers are always involved in all of these meetings, so I want to make sure that you guys understand that and get your names in there so that you can be represented. Every year we have to pilot new items, so every year we kind of do have some where we don't always do all of our meetings in person. A lot of them we might do just as a call, where we just do it at night from 6 to 9 or something like that. You get paid. It's outside of the day. So, and those are also the same kind of meetings, except we just want to vet things through teachers, and they get to put their input in and give us ideas of changes or what they like and don't like. And then once all this is done, then we revise the items. And then, of course, I went the wrong way. Standard setting is the last thing we do. So, like I said earlier, make sure you know who your test coordinator is. If it isn't you, make sure your school has one. If you happen to know your test coordinator quit, let us know. Dr. Walker is the director of assessment. She sends out lists of items and things to corporation test coordinators, school test coordinators. There's no difference between the two, especially like for charter schools. Since you guys are a school, we consider you are test coordinator, corporation test coordinator. So you have to have DOE Online is one of the registrations, and we sent that out to the superintendent or the head of your schools already. So know who that person is, because they are the one that's going to filter information down to you. And the listservs have already started. They come out all the time. So hopefully if that person is not communicating with you, you may want to let us know, or let your principal or somebody know that you're just not getting information about the test. Most important thing to do, and especially if somebody leaves in the middle of the year, we will have what's called the test label, where you have to turn in all the students so that you get your books and you get your things online and you get your labels if you have paper. If that person quits and we don't know it, somebody's bubbling in all that information and they're trying to get their materials. So make sure you know who that person is, or make sure that there's somebody in your school that is taking on this role. So this is just the DOE Online. One thing is corporation test coordinator can do, they would designate a test coordinator for a second person. And that's how if you were interested in the iRead K2, you can also, that's where you can download that assessment if you work with the primary grades. Again, the test coordinator. That test coordinator, we also have a Learning Connection community specifically for test coordinators, where we download and we keep everything that, we store everything that's archived. And this is just a picture of what the assessment webpage looks like. Like I said, it has the assessment windows. It has our program manuals. If you work with students with disabilities, please look at Appendix C. That lists all of the accommodations that can be used on a state test, for all the different state tests. It's very important to have that document. I'd say that. Chapter 10, student breaks their arm in the middle of the year, or right before testing. What do? You don't make up a 504, because that's only for, we got in trouble for calling it a temporary 504. You just write up a plan saying what the student needs. They're going to need an accommodation. If you need paper, you can order paper. So just those, I would say, most of the program manual pages are just updates, just saying here's what this test is, but underneath there, the appendices I think are very important. If you're looking for information about assessments, you'll find it on Compass, which is also part of the Department of Education. I don't know if you've ever gone to Compass very much, but it tells you when it comes for accountability, which of course is not out for this year yet. This is where you can find your state level information, and school level and corporation level information. And of course, you know, the Learning Connection has a lot of communities, but also if you are a Learning Connection administrator, there are reports that are available to you. So if you need access to some of the reports, some of them are, like if you need to know which students, if you have EL students, they've come from another school, you haven't gotten any data on them, you need to know what their last score was, you can go to the admin reports in Learning Connection, and it will say for any student you have that has enrolled in your school through the real time, which is through the STN Application Center, you can see what their score is, but you have to have Learning Connection admin. Not hard to get, just get it from somebody at your school. If nobody at your school has it, then contact Learning Connection. If you want to know if a student passed IREAD 3, there's also an IREAD 3 report. There's an ISTAR report, and there's an ECA report. And that gives you student level data, but it's only available to people who have the right access. And the Application Center, I don't really want to go through that. Hopefully you have somebody you know who does your data in your school. This is very important when it comes to, again, like I said before, making sure that somebody submits the test label. It's called the test layout is what it is, and it's for your online, to get kids online, it's to get paper. It's not just for paper, it's online, because you don't want to have to go in to the Pearson system or to the Questar system or even the DRC, which is the vendor for WIDA, and have to hand enter students. You want to be able to put them in, and this is how they do it. Does everybody know who their STN person is in their school? Takes care of putting students in and getting their data to the school. If you don't, find out who it is, just to make sure, because you want to make sure it's usually somebody in the front office a lot of times because they know everything. So, and then again, you'll have this resource, or here are some resources. You'll have this PowerPoint. These are just some of the websites that we feel are very important for teachers to know that we have. We work really hard on our website to make sure that we put a lot of stuff out there. We just don't think everybody knows where our stuff is. And sorry we have too many places, but this is the best place to look. So we try to keep the resources down here. And here's some information about the Pearson and the Questar websites. But most of these you have to have a username and password to get into. And again, this is part of the documents you can get, and you can just go right to these links. And this is the last ones. And again, if you want to get involved in any kind of trainings, or not trainings, but help with item development or be on any kind of committees, email Indiana Assessment. That we usually go through your principal. If you've said you want to do it, we'll go through your principal to make sure that they would recommend you and things like that. That's our main line. Are there any questions just from my quick, brief overview? Okay, just make sure that if you have questions, let us know. Hopefully, try to work through. You should always work for through your test coordinator. But if you're having issues with the test coordinator, like I said, we need to make sure that they get the information down to everybody. We hate it when schools call us and say, we don't have any any books, we don't have any kids on, and we don't want testing to be any harder on people than it is.